Hello, hello, hello. Um, we are at Charis Bookstore, Charis Books and more, and more and more and more. It is National Poetry Month. Um, and you're in a room full of poets, maybe, or storytellers at the very least. So, um, weird. I have an interview tomorrow, and I think now that I've moved into this place of like, for the next couple of years, I need to just be in a space to create space for people to have space. Thinking about doing an interview, I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to talk about? Oh, myself. Uh, I think I forgot how to do that a little bit, but I'm doing a show for South Fulton Arts on May 14th at the Academy Theater in Hateville. And one of the questions one of their people asked me was, what five poems changed or repurposed or reperspective or whatever. It was a very clever question. Um, and so I've been posting them, and I want to say that I've never been able to really prioritize them. And like, this is the first one. I don't think that's important really. It's just like the journey part, right? So I posted the one about my dad, where I finally got to a place where I could talk about my dad. Oh, I'm Theresa, by the way. Hey, that's Karen G. Um, and I got to a place where I finally had the words. I was in this competition, Women of the World Poetry Slam. I thought I was in. I got there. I wasn't in. I had a fit, like you do, because you're a poet. And then got myself together and was like, I'm gonna just have fun. And then I got into the competition, um, and then I won the competition. So it was one of those things where I felt like things were happening in the direction they were supposed to be happening, right? And so the last poem that that festival heard was the poem that I had finally done for my dad in an unfortunate super gold shirt, because there was a time in my life where I packed ironically. I do not suggest this. The shirt was shiny, and I like shiny, but it was blindingly shiny. But I think that this one, and I haven't done it in a while. I'm probably gonna read it because I'm not sure where my memory is post COVID. But after I did Women of the World Poetry Slam, I was asked to give a keynote address at the Atlanta Queer Literary Festival. And I don't know how to do that, but I didn't say that because my good friend John Good said, no, we know how to do everything. That's what YouTube University is for. So I went to YouTube University, and I figured out that I could do a keynote address by kind of just doing poems that kind of like express my journey, right? So I did this poem, and it's so sad I can't find it. I know I have a table of contents, but that's the punks. Um, gonna just keep flipping until I find it. But I did this poem, and one of the other people that was on the panel that I was Kate Bornstein, me, and Brian Borland, who is who was the publisher for Sibling Rivalry Press. We were all on the stage, right? So this is the poem that I did. I'm gonna have to take this off because I can't breathe. This is the poem that I did. And after I did this poem, he offered me a book deal. And one of the things that I did when I decided that I was going to um, explore this route of poetry and being a poet, and what that means is I promised myself that I would always do my best, right? You never know who's in the room, always do your best. That's something my mom's always told me. Never know who's in the room. So a publisher was in the room. I did my best, and I got a book deal. And this is the book that came out of that deal. So this poem is called Breathing Lessons. And thank you. And I did this. This poem came about at a poetry slam called DIPS, Dallas Invitational Poetry Slam. And when you won a big old silver bowl full of guacamole. It was beautiful. I miss dips. And it's clever because poets do that. So I worked this out in a workshop there, and then it became this thing. So this is breathing lessons. I never heard the term lug, lesbian, until graduation before my 30s. So I never knew in my college days that that's what they were calling me behind suppressed giggles and raised eyebrows. All I knew then was that she was beautiful. The first time our eyes met, she took my breath away, and I didn't know I would find myself where she was, stumbling across her path, avoiding eye contact, but always found staring. The day she called me by name, my knees buckled visibly. She caught me by the arm, grinned me a disarming grin, and whispered in my ear, "You know, if you breathe, you won't pass out." Her words buzzed through me like electricity, and for a week after that, whenever our eyes met, there was a mad blushing and take of breath I could not release. She would sometimes scream across a crowded room, "Breathe!" People thought she was crazy, but I thought proudly, yeah, she talking to me. The day she finally asked me out after a game, she, the baller, and me, believe it or not, holding pom poms, I accepted greedily. Without thinking about this thing, I couldn't stop thinking about, clueless to my surroundings, the titters, the jeers. Hell, I figured if they wanted me to hear them, they'd speak up. Because I was much too busy trying to master this whole breathing thing. I didn't understand the pull she had on me, and at no time did it seem problematic. I once described the feelings to my mother, draped in a lie where she became Lee and I was my friend. My mother's only comment, "That sounds like love." The first time she kissed me, I think I left my body. When I returned, she lay over me, stroking my cheeks, reminding me, "Baby, breathe." I never told her that I loved her. I kind of freaked out when I heard my name and gay in the same sentence. I mean, it never occurred to me that a word used so frequently to diminish, shrouded in hate, laced with harsh tones, could be used to describe what I shared with her. She once told me boldly, confidently, that she loved me. Wanted to know if I loved her too, and in tears I lied, no. Loving you could be problematic. Painfully, I watched her dissolve, and when she stormed from the room, she took the air with her, and I forgot to breathe. When I awoke, not on the floor where I fell, but placed lovingly on the bed where we shared our secrets, she lay over me. A cool towel pressed to my head, a resuscitating kiss pressed to my lips, and she reminded me again, "Baby, you gotta remember, you gotta breathe." And I watched her gather her things, preparing to walk out of my life. She gave me one last kiss that left me cold, and parting words that burned. Loving you was never problematic for me, and part of me wants to find her now that I'm an adult and I know who I am, and I want to let her know that whole breathing thing. Hell, it's never been a problem since she left because no one has completely taken my breath away the way she did, and part of me wants to go back in time to the exact moment when that lie fell from my lips. I want to take it all back, tell her what my heart now knows, but all of me wants to thank her for being my first, possibly my only true love, and I want to let her know, "Baby, I've been practicing. And if I ever fall in love like that again, thanks to you, I will. I'll remember and I'll breathe." Yeah. Side note, I did find her. The reunion was awful, and she is a horrible human being. Um, oh my God. It was bad. And my brain was like, "No, it's romantic." And then my brain was like, "Hey, but you were like 17, 18. Were you smart?" Oh my God. She called my poetry volunteering. It was awful. Anyway, thank you for going down memory lane with me. I know you didn't ask for any of that. And now, Karen G.
Hi, y'all. Hi. Lovely to see you. Happy Poetry Month. Um, since my friends just visited Chicago, one of my favorite places, I was like, let me bring 3 poets in the room with me, and I'll decide when I get there which one of them I'll do a cover for. And then you're here, so I got to do a Billy Tuggle poem. Billy Tuggle, who's from Chicago, and he has a book called "A Tree Falls in the Hood" from Swimming with Elephants Press, and I miss him so much. Oh my god. But they do once a month they have an online Zoom. It's on Central Time. So it's an open mic. It's on Central Time. So it's like 9 their time, 10 our time. Um and it's in one ear in one ear untethered. And so that's a great space, and I want to keep that. I want to help my sister scene keep that online Zoom community going too, because it we can chime in from everywhere, and that's so good. um so this is a Billy Tuggle poem, and I love this freaking poem. It's called "Caped Up." The problem with occupations of superheroism, besides protecting humans from demigods, demons, and themselves, besides vigilante world saving, besides being trapped in between time and space in an extra dimensional bubble, besides keeping jilted, lovelorn megalomaniacs with doctorates in engineering, chemistry, biology, and creative writing from dropping a vial of doom into the local water supply, besides turning down bribes from politicians, besides getting trapped in the elevator of HQ with a shitty teammate, besides balancing the ability to deflect bullets with responsibility for the ricochet, besides looking as fly as fuck in a weird ass costume, besides getting trapped in between time and space in an extra dimensional bubble again, besides the media, besides maintaining a personal life, besides maintaining a real job to afford these gadgets, outrageous grocery bill, and this fly as fuck costume, is that most superheroes are never powerful enough to protect their own sanctuary. Something to think about. The other thing I didn't really notice until after both my parents had passed away was, wow, so many origin stories of superheroes start with parent death. That's traumatizing. Anyway, things to chew on. And because it's poetry month, doing 30, well, not maybe 30 poems, but as many poems as I can, writing scraps and rough drafts in all their ugly rough draftness. And so here's one of them. My friend is trying to get more protein earlier in the day. Shows me a picture of a plate of fruit and a slice of fish next to it with tomato and cucumber. Last night I craved fish sticks I didn't have. And last week I ordered yellowtail to arrive maybe before Easter ends. Leaves a feeling in the back of my mouth like grease or chicken skin or scales, a slipperiness. I hate the gelatin feel of any raw meat on my hands. To cook makes me almost vegetarian again, but my gut and my acid reflux won't let me. I don't have to handle carbs with makeshift lobster claws through tongs. Later in the bathroom, I hold my face and realize again that I have a skull just holding it all in together. My rambling thoughts, images of dill sprigs, sprouting rosemary, divine cilantro, and parsley. I read about another woman's post-surgery recovery, craving weird foods for breakfast. We are all upset. I think of the word upset like a flipped over table, like a turned table. How used to other people's messes women and queers are in cleaning up, and how hard it is to just look after ourselves. how a boundary of take care of yourself on other failures to launch sometimes comes back around on you again. I feel my skull trying to hold it all in. How made of bones I am, how hard I can be under all that wiggly softness. The way I am made up of horns and how that includes the sharp parts. There's something here about jiggly flesh and fragility, the way it disguises our teeth, and all the hopes we handle when we clean up, clean a mess we made, the creativity of our food failures, the messes that weren't ours to clean, and how we cleaned up anyway. So that's a rough draft right there. I'm also working my way through like a bunch of poems that have the words hope and teeth or hope with teeth in them. And so like that's a series I'm working on at the moment. Okay. All right. Now we get into the list. The open mic part. Woohoo! Woo! And I'm not gonna go in order. I'm gonna
That's how they get you. Y'all be skipping that one, y'all be skipping that two.
yeah. So I'm gonna go with. Are you ready? Are you ready? Eve Clark, are you ready? Oh shoot! Oh my bad. That is so. Oh wow. Um. I do. That's it. Because Eve. I love the name Eve. Thank you.
Okay, so before I get into it, I have a really important question for you guys. And this is unfortunately for those of you on Zoom an in person question only. So today's my 24th birthday. Thank you. And my dear sweet angel classmates brought cupcakes to class. And then when there were leftover cupcakes, they were like, you have to take all the cupcakes. Will you guys help me eat the cupcakes? Great. Some of them are gluten free. Okay, let me actually set my timer. My poet friend was like, you fiction writers, you always go over the time limit. And I was like, not me, bitch. I said it. I said it. So this is a flash piece that I'm going to try and get through in 5 minutes. And if I can't, you'll never find out what happens. So this is called God Willing. And it was an experiment with flash fiction that I wrote earlier this semester. Yeah, I'll get into it. She is lucky, she knows. Most people can't just drop everything after a breakup and go home for a week to lick their wounds. For all of her complaints at her parents, her father had taken care of booking the flight, like he had when she was in school, and her mother had picked her up from the airport. In their own way, they coddled her. Her mother cooked for her, and her father took her on walks around the neighborhood to various coffee shops and never made her pay for her own drink. Neither of them said a word when she left her dishes in the sink. Despite their assorted kindnesses and indulgences, she still smarts as she sits in the terminal, seeing her flight be delayed yet again. Deep down, she knows they are both happy about the breakup. If she were her sister, she believes that they would have reacted far differently. If her sister had called her mother sobbing about being dumped by her boyfriend, her mother would have been just as devastated. She wouldn't have said breezily, well, it's never going to work out anyway. Now you can focus on finding someone more compatible, not allergic to your dog. No, an ex-girlfriend is not really any loss in her parents' eyes. She has been in this terminal for 6 hours now, and she expects it will be another 6 or 8 before she boards the plane. She has walked its length multiple times, stretching her legs. She has tried several of the eating establishments and is eyeing the bar across from her now for a drink and her 5th snack. She bought a trashy romance novel in one of those airport shops, deliberately a straight one, because straight people's problems feel so far removed from hers that reading about their relationships doesn't hurt. She has lived a whole life in this terminal. She will die in this terminal. She wants a drink, but she worries if she leaves, someone will take her spot, one of the good ones by an outlet. For good measure, she's placed her backpack on the seat next to her. If someone asks, she will move it, but she hopes no one does. The seating area for this plane is getting more crowded by the minute, as people arrive for flights that should have taken off after hers. She pulls out her knitting and slides her headphones over her ears. At this point, she's not worried about being called for her flight, and people tend not to ask people wearing headphones to move their stuff. She's halfway through a rewatch of the first episode of Bridgerton on her phone when she notices someone standing in front of her. Ah, well, at least it's a woman. She is tall and stately, maybe her mother's age, a solid line of dark eggplant purple from her headscarf to her long skirt brushing the ground. She slides off her headphones. Sorry, she says, and moves her backpack to the ground in front of her. The woman smiles and nods her thanks before sitting down. She goes back to her knitting, but she doesn't turn Bridgerton back on. She feels a little odd watching it right next to this woman. Is that insensitive? Because she's not watching anything, it doesn't take her much time to realize the woman is watching her very intently. Yes, she says, looking up. The woman points at the project abandoned in her lap and smiles. Just watching, she says. It's very pretty. Her voice is low and lightly accented, but she doesn't know the origin. Oh, thank you. She doesn't know what else to say, but she shifts her work closer to the woman so she can see it better. The woman seems to want to chat. Married? She asks. No, she answers softly, and she doesn't elaborate, but the woman must see something sad on her face. She reaches out her hand and, after a brief hesitation, gently pats her on the knee. You will, the woman says. Inshallah. You know what that means? Yes, she answers. God willing. She isn't religious, really, but she's warmed by this woman's faith. She has turned away now to rummage in her bag, and after a moment she pulls out a little bag filled with cookies. They are small and almost perfectly round, rolled in powdered sugar. She also pulls out a napkin, which she lays primly over her lap. The woman opens the bag and holds it out. Eat. She takes the cookie and takes a bite. Oh, we did it! We did it in 3 minutes! But yeah, I knit in airports and people's grandmas are really into it. And that's where that came from.
And somewhere it's that sell-off thing too, where it's like, I'm next to the terminal and this is yeah. After this. Yeah. Okay. Well, happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. All right. Vanessa Evers. Did I say it right? Yes? Hey, Vanessa. Is it your first time on our mic? Yes!
Okay. Hello. Well, it's not my birthday and I don't have cupcakes. So sorry about that. Okay. I have 2 poems. The first one's called Break. To breathe in, breaking. To break, breath, open, breathing. To break up on, open, breath. To breathe, burst in, out, break, open, me. To breathe, to burst, too urgent, to open, too fragile, to break up on, we break, breathe, too urgent, to open mouths, break silence, tears, tear, break, breathe, to open me, to break, burst me, to break, fragile, we break open upon impact, we break open, tears break open mouths, to break up on against each other, we burst. And the last one's called Oatmeal. As we lie in bed, I wrap myself tightly around your waist, your head upon my breast. I got a text from my ex wife who tells me her grandmother has passed. It was just last night that I saw my ex wife's grandmother curled into her own sweat on the bed. I rubbed her shoulder and told her hello, and I whispered, I love you. My mom had outlived both of my grandparents by 20 years. My arms slowly awakened and reached for the sun. Your head moves from my chest to the pillow, watching your eyes as they opened and searched for mine. I was there, still holding on. We pressed our lips together in prayer. This was the day that we had made. Breakfast began to boil with hints of cinnamon and melted butter. The warmth of your kisses still trickled down my neck. I wondered about love and crushed almonds. I untangled myself from you a few mornings a week, and you continue to show me how to love through the morning of a marriage. And how could I ask for yet another ritual of repair? Had it ever been a question? You had already licked at the wounds that lined my palms and kneaded the knots of my shame. We had spent nights worshiping the silence in between tears of pleasure and discomfort. You became lung until I remembered how to breathe. We sacrificed our bodies upon the fires of mattress and candles, soaked our feet in Epsom salt and generational inks before stepping into the deserved corners of our black bodies. 2 bowls of oatmeal were ready. You came behind me with braided fingers holding the bloat of my belly. We swayed underneath our own hymn of redemption, of love, of mourning.
All right. I'm gonna do this one. You in the next one. All right. Hello.
What if I threw myself in front of that because I think she's still typing on her piece?
Oh. Ooh. No, no. Keep cooking. If you need to keep cooking, keep cooking. Angel coffee!
Let's just work now. Let's see. How do I do that? Other one? As long as I didn't break anything. Okay, so yeah, that's me. I'm Angel. I used to do this all the time, and I don't now. So I'm a little bit still like, what do I want to do? Because when you're in a room full of great like poets and writers, you want to be like, oh, let me flex a little bit. Let me ruffle my feathers and look, I do this too. But I think I need to do the poem that I need to do right now. Because recently, some of you may have heard of someone, RFKJR. I can't. I was gonna be like a great guy. No, I can't. I can't. Said recently about autistic people. Given that I guess he's currently in charge of our preeminent authorities on these things. That, and I quote, they will never hold a job, pay taxes, play baseball, write a poem.
Oh wait, we do all those things.
Yeah. So I'm autistic. As some of you can probably tell by how I'm over explaining things and not really managing to make eye contact with any of you unless I force myself to. But I have maybe written a poem. So I wrote this poem based on the definition of poem on one of the many times that I asked myself, have I ever really written a poem? So this goes out to my good buddy, RFK Jr., in response to my inability as an autistic person to write a poem. Poem. Noun. Definition. A piece of writing that partakes of the nature of both speech and song, that is nearly always rhythmical, usually metaphorical, and often exhibits such formal elements as meter, rhyme, and stanzaic structure. The sun is an important symbol in this poem. Definition 2. Something that arouses strong emotions because of its beauty. You make a poem of riding downhill on your bike. Have I ever written a poem? Oxford says you make a poem of riding downhill on your bike, but I have only ever written the kiss of bandages on my own bleeding shin, the click-a-clatter-click of turning spokes as I wait to be thrown mortal and helpless over life's handlebars, screaming in that forever moment where I hover over my asphalt end, soft persimmon flesh waiting to be ground into jam. Oxford says a poem partakes of the nature of speech and song that is nearly always rhythmical. And I tap, tap, tap my toes to a heartbeat born without rhythm, Belt out sour notes and sweet nothings over a tongue that stutters and stammers. Alive, I live, love in lie. Olive eyes all over lie. Alive, 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 alive. The sun is an important symbol in this poem. It rises in the morning and sinks slow into the tree-topped cradle of dusk, casts light on dark corners, open fields, and closed curtains, and warms and shines and burns with the fickle flicker fade of the heat death of the universe. And when you stare directly at it, your eyes go all ultraviolet, searing red pain and blinding white bliss in the moment before it all goes black. So you shut them tight. Try to remember that feeling, that moment you were so alive it nearly killed you. And when you almost have it, when you nearly find the words, you ask yourself, have I ever written a poem? So, not to dedicate too much space to someone who doesn't deserve it, but also in the realm of different ways that our government tells me I am and am not allowed to exist. I am a non-binary person. I didn't do it politically. I just realized when I was 5 years old, I felt a little bit different, and that just kind of kept going. But when I got back from my vacation, I noticed that the rose bush that I have never once touched or helped or tended in my backyard had burst into bloom. And so I wrote this. The title is Our Roses Still Here, which, of course, is a reference to the trans mantra, give us our roses while we're still here. All my life, I've been told rose bushes are fickle, defiant, disease-ridden, and fragile. But the rose bush in my backyard blooms with or without my help. It forms thorned boundaries to protect young buds not yet ready to effloresce, allows distant branches to wither off and die when they become toxic, and it blossoms only when and where it feels healthy and safe. Dewdrops coalesce between pink petal fingers wrapped around my morning coffee as I marvel at the rose bush thriving in my backyard. How defiant to continue growing here without permission. How fickle, taking whatever shape you see fit. How resilient you are, blooming, with or without their help.
Yeah.
Did you want to sign up on the list? So, people, my birthday is coming up, and people have a bad habit of gifting me plants. I do not own a green thumb that I am aware of. I ask for all the directions and all the things, and then I also say, please don't give me a plant, because I don't know what's gonna happen. But yeah, so I got an orchid for my birthday, one of those cute little orchids. It was so pretty, and I was like, ooh, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna follow the directions. I did my little thimble of water every couple of days. It died so hard, and it is still sitting on the. I'm gonna move it one day. I'm hoping it'll come. I'm hoping it'll be like, you know what, Theresa, on that shit. Let me fix it myself, and it'll grow itself. I believe in nature. I'm still watering it, but yeah, cactus. I'm great. Give me a cactus.
It killed my cactus.
Ooh.
But I wrote a poem about how my cactus kept itself alive for 5 years, and I went and checked on it recently.
Yeah. I like that. I'm still stuck on the line. Your persimmon skin turning into jam. That was such a good line. Okay. All right, I'm back. And we're gonna get back into this list. And Helen!
Yay me. Thank you to Angel for taking one for the team being me. I am the team. So I was trying to write this in the car, but then I got car sick, so then I was like discreetly typing between poets. And so now I have maybe a draft, and there's stuff struck through, and I've never read it all together, and you're welcome. Very new shit. Well, let me hit the check mark so it, okay, perfect. So my keyboard goes away. Okay. It is spring 2019. I haven't been in school for 15 years, but I still view my time in semesters. This semester, I am in the intensive outpatient program at the local psych hospital. I have to borrow money to do it. The perfect commitment when your depression is already bolstered by poverty, but it's worth it, especially for the people in my group therapy sessions. We meet twice a day, like homeroom. Dave, the guy with the traumatic brain injury, is the best guy here. He loves people, the NFL, painting his toenails. His Dallas Cowboys pedicure gets all the social workers talking. He can be a little intimidating. He's an awkward mountain of a man, but it's so genuinely important to him that those around him value themselves that he is not shy about telling them to. Dave has only just met you. Dave loves you. Dave, the guy with the traumatic brain injury, is an entrepreneur, he says, a multi-millionaire. Most people don't believe him, but I do. He wears a bathrobe everywhere, and that's something that multi-millionaires do, I'm pretty sure. That is what I will do anyway when Dave and I team up to take over the world with positive vibes and flashy pedicures, and I can finally pay back this loan and the wrongs that were done to me. But I refuse to define my entire semester by a single Dave. The anxious guy who had to leave the last psych hospital because he found himself cheating on his wife with a fellow patient, his name's also Dave. He's not the best guy here, but he uses words like disingenuous, and if I didn't care so much about his recovery and my recovery, I could see myself helping him cheat on his wife again. He's an otherwise put together boat shoe kind of man, and I find the open way he is constantly afraid incredibly hot. Dave, the guy with the traumatic brain injury, is the first one to use the word rape when I talk about what happened. He is large enough to exact violent revenge on my behalf, but he would never do that, and that is why I feel safe with him. Sexy, anxious guy Dave is comparatively small, turning out to be one of those who becomes even smaller in treatment. Small enough that I no longer remember what word, other than disingenuous, he used, if he was there when I talked about what happened. Small enough that he eventually faded away, rather than being discharged. There is, of course, a third Dave I haven't mentioned. Important, but not, I tell myself, central. This Dave is troubled. And yes, we all are, but this Dave takes a seat next to me before morning meditation and confesses. The voices keep telling him to hurt our caseworker, he says. Just punch him in the face. He laughs it off, real casual, and I laugh him off because laughing things off is the last unhealthy coping mechanism I am still allowed in treatment. I meditate on it. I don't want to get troubled Dave in trouble. I'll tell someone after homeroom, I decide, once I've let it become too late to tell someone beforehand. Dave, the guy with the traumatic brain injury, is absent today. This leaves a single chair empty, but the hole he leaves is larger. My place on shore. Sexy, anxious Dave is still there, technically, for the moment, in the distracted way he has grown into. I've mentally decided he is the one I'll approach with the information troubled Dave has given me. He gives too few fucks to get hung up about it like me. Of course, troubled Dave is also present. He seems normal, even jocular. I try not to make eye contact as the conversation comes around to me. Don't worry, I think to myself. I'm sure it's fine. I had almost forgotten I am here for me Dave, the guy with the traumatic brain injury, would never let me forget. I glance at sexy, anxious Dave and I feel myself again, a woman who needs, a woman who can talk about being a woman who needs. I realize I am talking. I've been going for a while. I'm far from the best guy here, but I am killing group therapy. Truly, finally, I am the homeroom queen. I am approaching a breakthrough. I round the curve and troubled Dave suddenly stands. As his fist makes swift contact with our caseworker's jaw, it hits me like a ton of bricks. The semester is over for me, and I am ready for my billionaire bathrobe. I am ready for summer. That was long and I have dry mouth, but can I do a more smaller one? Little bitty baby one? If I can find a little baby one, where'd it go? I did a whole head talk. Okay. You did a Theresa talk. Well, I'm a professional. Let me find the things I do that I done. Oh yeah, I always have a hard time finding this one because it's called Unfinished, and then I have a bunch of unfinished poems that are also have unfinished in the title. So this is, I'll try to remember, unfinished, but not technically. I start and abandon so many things that the amount of unfinished business I have legally qualifies me as a ghost. That I'm also invisible part of the time did hint at this, but it's nice to have certainty in an otherwise uncertain existence. When I was a young spirit, I read a story about a woman who loved her car so much that for years after she died, her husband still caught glimpses of her gauzy form hand cranking the engine in the middle of the night, every night. No matter how much whatever was left of her cranked the handle, the car never started, would never start again, would never take her anywhere. But she went through the motions nonetheless. It was her car, her afterlife, her choice. Ironically, it made her feel alive. Some of us share this need, the need to wind ourselves up, whether or not there's an outlet or destination. So we try to start. We haunt ourselves and those closest to us with our big ideas, and we never stop. Because unfinished is our business, and business is booming. Sometimes spinning our wheels is the journey and the destination. And sometimes it's that which holds us back from truly living that keeps us alive. Thanks, y'all.
Right. Yay. Thank you. That first one, ugh, that's a draft? That's crazy. My drafts, ooh, you know they're drafting. I remember, but I'm doing better with this. So I'm working on a new collection too, and I'm doing a whole lot better with fixing my own kind of edits that I can. Because when let me tell you, I was a teacher for 30 years. And when I got my first book done, they sent me the copy where he marks it all up. I gave up red pens. I had never seen so much red in my life. I had this. It took me 2 days to actually look at it. I was like, I can't spell. I can't. I don't know what a comma is. I don't. Yeah, it was. It was. Ugh. But draft. Oh my God. There will be no red marks on that poem. Thank you so much. That was Helen. And put your hands together for a writer. Do you need a chair or are you going to stand and play? A chair? Okay. He's got to bring this down.
Yeah. Hi. So I'm gonna read a piece that I read here like a month or two ago, and but I think I've kind of like substantially expanded it. And I'm gonna do it the way I meant to do it originally, which was kind of it's sort of it's basically still just a poem. I mean, yeah, it's like halfway between a poem and a song, I guess. Um, and I'll go ahead and like kind of talk about this piece a little before I explained this the last time I did it. It's like inspired by a friend that I met when I was doing some like protesting the clearing of the forest. Um, and I feel like honestly, this like that time when I did it here, I literally on the like on the car ride home, I was like writing extra lines. I guess double. And then and I feel like part of that was literally just this image of like the that just like really like evoked a lot for me. I found an old black cat while lost in the weeds of a forest of dreams. She was tending to a nursery of her fledgling dream seeds. The garden gilly cloaked in nocturne's quilt, peppered with freckles of starlight. Peppered with freckles of starlight, bathed in moonshine, draped in dark marshy leaves, humble swamp keeper, steward, and queen. She told me not to worry, because this world's not always what it seems. She'd be whoever she thinks we need. A tower, an outlaw, a stitch in the seams. She'd bleed for anyone. She'd carve our names into the sun. And run away because the light burns her eyes. She'd hastily scamper off, so elusive in flight. Violet creeps at the periphery, a silver stream of mystery trails behind as she slips out of sight. But you'll still find her if you wander through the night. That's all. And that was like roughly improvised. Like some of that was kind of some ideas that I had beforehand of like, but yeah, that was mostly like just fiddling on the spot. But yeah. And I don't really think I have anything else I want to do right now. So
Yeah. Read the poem that you were given. Do you have one? Yeah. Yeah. That would be a nice interlude, like music and then silence. Read it. Yeah. You're right. Thank you. Because they have it online too. Is it on a blog or is it your personal symbol or something like that? Oh, your voice. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No talking. Okay. Protect your voice. Are you doing any? Are you? It's in your head. Oh, you know what? My glasses are over there. Can't see anything but the lights and the hues around your beautiful faces. All right, that was Writer, everybody. You want to post this in case somebody needs to walk this way so they don't trip. All right, and our next coming up to the mic is Kyle Jones. Oh, there you go.
Hello. Hi. I'm Kyle. This is my first time doing this too. Thanks. Um, I really like what the people before me have said about activism and stuff like that. So I'm a healthcare provider and a trans man, and I provide healthcare to transgender people. And so the beginning of this year was really dark. And I wasn't really sure really what to do as far when I think of activists, I think of people with bullhorns up on the Capitol steps, and that's just not me. And I was like, well, what can I do? Because I don't feel like I have the courage to get up and stand up and be visible. So I just the saying of existence is resistance came into my mind, and then the image of just like a dandelion just pushing up through the concrete and being there. And every spring when I see dandelions come up, I think just how beautiful these flowers are that push up through still frozen in cold soil to be nourishing and just gorgeous and just spread their seeds regardless of what the gardeners and the folks that have lawns want. So this kind of came out of that of like, what can I do? What's my role in all of this? When love becomes a crime and science a parody of truth, when hate replaces reason and humanity becomes a commodity to be sold to the highest bidder, when living in lands distant from our ancestors is a matter before the courts and shareholders no longer share the power, when my body becomes a ladder for those in greed to climb upon, let me use my voice to call out the injustices occurring all around. And if my voice were to falter, let my hand protest in written word. And if my hand should tremble, let my spirit create art and conviction. And if my spirit grows weary, let my body dance and make love freely and without form. O Mother, let me be, and in being let me serve, and bring my presence each day to this earth. And if my very existence becomes a crime, may my life and my joy spark riots in the prison yards.
Nice. Oh my God, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for being here with us tonight. Yeah, I mean, I think that we kind of get tricked into this place of thinking that when we evoke some sort of change, it has to be on this humongous level, right? And that's that kind of trap I think that we kind of get set up for. So in my decision to kind of like figure out what I need to do, because I used to be the person who would go and stomp and shout and do poems and have the FBI and people taking my picture and threatening me, and I used to be that guy. I remember performing at the School of the Americas and having a man in a helicopter pointing a gun at the stage. It was wild. So I mean, I used to, but now I think that yes, those things are big, but I think also a big change is stepping into a room and reading a poem for the first time. You know what I mean? Because we don't we yes, we advocate for our world. We need to advocate for ourselves as well. And sometimes that change is simply you sharing your voice and someone else in the room feeling seen. You know? Thank you so much. I get kumbaya. I warned you. Okay, maybe not this crowd. But I love expression, and I love that one of the things that I hope, if nothing else, that people are going to take more agency with themselves and just be expressive. Say what you need to say, and how you need to say it, and who you need to say it to, and you know, yeah, yeah, yeah. Or that's why I'm kind of making zines. I'm just gonna pass them out to people. I was really annoying with zines in high school. I feel like I didn't reach my full potential though, and I got a second chance. Yes. Well, if no one else wants to sign up on the list, that's our open mic tonight. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you, people who are watching us virtually. We hope you come back next month. And next month, I believe our feature is Talisha J. Yeah, Talisha J. She's fabulous. And May 15th. Yes, yes. That's awesome. Have a great night. Be safe, hydrate, take care of yourself, and get a card from me if you want to come and hang out and do poetry. Also, this Saturday at the Arts Exchange, I have Scrabble Club. And if you want to get beaten in Scrabble by me, you should come. It's a free event. I do Scrabble Club twice a month. I do writing workshops twice a month. And I do the open mic and slam once a month. And it's $100 slam every month. And yeah. And Sunday we still do Java. We used to be Java Monkey Coffee Shop down there. We still do it online. It's a virtual open mic. So you put in Java Speaks virtual open mic and it should pop up for you. And it is free as well. So thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your National Poetry Month. Write, share, do all the things.